What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the Altar again, and this time we return. Round 5 with Infected Rain. Thank you so much, Lena, for coming back on.
Thank you. Wow, it's been 5 times. This is the fifth time.
I believe so. I remember the
That's
first time it
crazy.
was over the phone right before Endorphin came out. So 2 albums
Wow.
later, and a lot has
Nice. Thank you
happened.
so much, man. Thank you for showing interest, towards my band and my um, art.
Yeah.
Thank you. And of course, absolutely amazing background setup for
Oh,
this.
thank you.
Yeah, I love
Thank you.
it. I love it.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you for what I consider now to be the best Infected Rain album ever, which is Time. This album,
Thank
like, because I loved 86, I love Embrace Eternity, Asylum onwards, like, but this I felt like is an accumulation of everything I loved about Infected Rain plus more. I want to know what the thought was, and actually, I never really asked like what the record name means because it's kind of so cliche to ask,
you.
but Time for me on a personal level has been something I've been thinking about more than ever lately, looking back at it as I've gotten older, and it's been something, a lot of time has passed. It was 5 years ago that we did our first interview. So I'm just wondering, was Time more of like your experience with it, or was there sort of like a specific metaphor behind it?
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliments. What I think happened here is that at at a certain age, I guess, at a certain time in your life, you do start to notice how people react towards time and towards the metamorphosis that is happening to our body, to everything around us. At a certain age, like you start being like, oh, when I was young, I was like, wait, what? You're still young. Like, why? But yes, it is something very common where we see it more and more. With people that I surround myself, I guess, pretty much my age or a little bit older, and also with myself, I started noticing how much more I started appreciating my own time. And I'm learning how to prioritize certain things over others. Now, this was just a coincidence with this album because we didn't plan the name in advance or the concept in advance. We went kind of with what was going on and how we felt. It was a pretty interesting moment in our career because we were going through a lineup change, and that's pretty hard on everybody, including the musicians and whoever is inside the band. Then, of course, it was very hard on our fans as well. But at the time, no one knew yet. It was only when the decision was made and we were going separate ways with two members of our band that have been with us for 13 years. And even though it was a long time coming, I know we've never really made it public, but it was just something that was long time coming. No one's fault. Life happens, right? I don't want to get there into those details or whatever. Certain things have to stay personal and behind closed doors, I believe, and this is one of them. However, that doesn't change the fact that that's how where we were and how we felt at the time. And it was only left Eugene Vidic, the guitar player, and me. And me and Vidic created Infected Rain from the beginning with one more member that actually left after the first album. His DJ, his friend, the DJ, I guess is correct. So basically, just me and Vidic left from the very beginning of the formation of Infected Rain. Eugene, however, is the last one that joined, but he's still in the band for like everything after the first album, I believe, because our drummer at the time, he was moving to a different country and we were looking for a new drummer. Now, it was hard on us to understand what now. So what we decided to do, instead of concentrating on what's happening and what are people thinking or what's going to happen, we decided to concentrate on a new record. Even though no one like knocked at the door and be like, hey, time for a new album or whatever, because there's no specific time frame that a band has to like every year a new album or something. There's no specifics like that, at least not for us. I will reveal this. Our contract only says that we shouldn't do an album more than, every 2 years, just because it's fair towards the people that put so much into the promotion and the distribution of this album, label, booking agencies, managements, people that work so hard that everybody has to get get the chance to pick those fruits of hard work, and a good cycle of an album is a minimum of 2 years. So that is literally the only rule. Other than that, you can do it later. Of course, you talk with your team, and there's always you can put the opinions together. Here, it was more like, even though our album was out for just a year or a year and a few months, when we made the decision to start working on a newer one, because we knew that now with this lineup, we didn't know who was going to join the band yet. It's going to just be a little bit different. So we can't give people a reason to worry. So we should just stay productive and show them that we are productive, and we are not, stagnant, or we are not impacted by the lineup change. It's just life continues, life moves on, career should move on as well. So that's what we did. Yeah. Slowly we did find a new bass player later on, but it was quite after the composing process was done. Yeah. But the name and the concept, that's interesting. That part came into us around the time when we were working, give or take, on a fourth song already. But Dying Light was already a thing. It was already a song. And I believe already were trying to, either we were trying to film a music video for it already and we had the idea, or we already filmed it. I don't remember exactly which one came first, but that one from the start, that was the first song we worked on, and we wanted to right away film a music video for it, present our new band member. And even if this song is not going to be part of a new album, in fact, we didn't even present Dying Light as, hey, first single from the upcoming album called Time. We didn't present it this way. We didn't even know if it's going to be included in that album. We wanted to see the reaction of people and to see if, because not always is necessary really to have that song it can be like a separate single.
Yeah, it stands out like from the Infected Rain. I feel like Infected Rain has both the experimental aspects that leave me wondering what's happening next, but I know that it's your voice. I know that it's Vidic's guitar tone. Like, there is a signature sound to it too. So I thought Dying Light was actually like the very impressive one. But I do got to say this before I forget, because one thing that I found that I connected with Time so much, not just the titles, because when I've been doing these interviews now for the last 8 years, I've gotten to know plenty of artists who I've spoken to regularly, you being one of them, and I've talked with you extensively about your songwriting process and the emotion that you channel into it. When I listened to Lighthouse, it all kind of made sense to me in a way, because I ask every artist, how does the songwriting work? I'm not a musician for a living. I've never been in a studio with a band, so I can only relate to it so much. That, where you kind of tell me, create your own reality in a way, it all made so much sense to me. I just want to know what that meaning was, because I feel like it's the most mysterious track, but also like the most, I would say, optimistic track. I think it has like the most positive message of any Infected Rain song.
It does, actually, and it's curious. I mean, I do know that often I tend to write darker lyrics, but it's a simple human factor. It's just like darker and more negative situations do inspire more than happy situations or happy emotions. They inspire more like artists, and it's just something that has always been that way. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I like it. It gives me inspiration. It gives me what to write about, not without repeating myself. With Lighthouse, however, I did mention this theme of the power of our actions, the power of our thoughts, the power of attraction of the universe. I did mention this in other songs, a little bit more hidden message kind of, but with this one is very much in your face. It really it really starts from the beginning till the end, guiding you through discovering that, hey, you can attract everything, not almost everything you think about. But the trick is that includes negative things too, and we only notice it when it's negative. We don't notice it when it's positive. Again, for the same reason, this is just a human nature.
We're addicted to danger. We look for the
Yeah.
negative. Look, I could tell you a lot of great things that have been happening right now in this world. We've found new cures for diseases. We're seeing people work together to create all this new stuff. But every day we're reading about wars and pandemics and, all these, which are legit issues, not to,
Absolutely.
diminish it. But I've always said, it's really cruel to say, but depression sells. It really does. And
In a way, it does. You're right, but it is only when it's about something sad, only when it is about something painful, people immediately try and relate. People don't even try to relate when they are happy, when they are like, oh look, she's singing about positivity. I've been positive lately and I've been doing this and that. And such a small percentage of people will actually notice that. In fact, it's something that it's pretty sad, to be honest, but it's something that led us. And there's often I say, often I say thank you to my music and to my career, because honestly, and again, I'm not trying to say that I've been, my life experiences and my pain it's greater than yours or anyone else who is watching us right now. Not at all. I know how much worse and destruction and insanely more is out there. But for us, we only know our own body and our own perspective of reality, and we only know our own pain. And obviously, our own pain will always feel greater and bigger than anyone else's pain, even if we are empaths and we can, see it. And it's obvious that this person has it really difficult because it's been through this and that, right? However, just like you said, that's all the news give us. That's all the social media gives us, is all the news about negativity and stuff, because it is a way to control us in a way as well. Yeah, it is a way to fear is a very powerful tool. And if you keep everybody a little bit alert and in a little bit of fear, it works very well and very good, in the realm of all this companies and corporations that are trying to sell you whatever they are trying to sell you. Okay. Yeah. But let's not talk about that on global, but let's talk about how simple this is. Yeah. How many times do you notice that, hey, something happens to you, right? And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I literally just thought about it yesterday. That's why it happens, because you just thought about it yesterday and you start noticing it. Or vice versa. Something, happens and you're like, okay, I never saw it coming. But then at a certain point, we realize and we admit to ourselves that, hey, but I was fearing this. I was fearing this will happen.
Yeah, I think...
you know what happens to me all the time? I will tell you, I've been super frustrated today. And I know it is completely and totally because of the fact that I'm constantly dreading this moment. Every single time before I fly to Europe, I have to go through a very tedious procedure into where the airlines have to approve my service animal, my service dog. Now, the reason I have a service dog is it's a physical disability that was, certified by doctors, and I have a heart issue. And it's not a disability that you can see with your open eye, And for many countries, if you're not missing a limb or you're not blind, you're not disabled, and you cannot have a service animal. And literally, this dog has saved my life so many times and so many shows, I was able to do because I had my dog with me. Now, the reason that I have to approve my dog with the airlines is not because there are a lot of, things like, for example, service dogs are not supposed to be charged, like the people are not supposed to be charged for that. But in the end of the day, it's not even about the money. It's just about the fact that they want your dog in a carry-on. They don't want your dog to be loose, and my dog has to be able to help me, right? She can't be in a bag at my feet if I need, in case of an emergency, right? So every single time for me to approve my dog, and I'm sorry I'm going into details, but it literally happened to me right now before I started my interviews today. My flight is in 3 days, and for 10 days, every day, I email back and forth the airline with answering their questions and every concern and everything, right? And literally today, they told me that they cannot approve my service animal for whatever reasons they had there. And the reasons were not legit at all. And the reasons were, I have more documents to send them, like, this entire thing is filled with papers for my dog. And I understand, don't get me wrong. I just want to follow the rules, and I'm following all the rules, and they still don't want to allow me to have my dog with me. So I am terrorized by airlines all the time. And I know it. And I attract it all the time because I dread this moment so much. This is my less pleasant. In general, I hate flying. Not because I have any fears, but because of how people treat me when they see me with my dog, and how people can be so, like, literally a person asked me, "What's wrong with you? Are you blind?" I'm telling you this because I am very frustrated in this moment, and I know it's gonna pass tomorrow, and I'll be like, oh, it's just a stupidity of one person. I can't, judge the entire company like that and stuff like that. But it happens to me all the time, so that's why I'm dreading it so much. So I attract it every single time. Now, what do I do to stop attracting it? Stop fearing it.
You stare into this endless galaxy and create your own reality.
Exactly.
And
and there are books about it, and there are studies about it, and there are proofs about it. All over we go. I prove that thing to myself over and over again, but I do fall on this trap over and over again myself, because in the end of the day, I write these songs as a reminder and as a lesson to myself in the first place.
Well, I think every song you have has been, for instance, the three-headed monster being a representative of addiction and pendulum, or endless stairs. I just want to be a flower standing on the sunlight. If I at least trying to interpret it that way, but like, yes, the way you're able to express it, it almost seems like the seeds of your own despair or your own negativity plant the roots for something beautiful, not only for yourself, but for your listeners. Again, one thing that attracted me to Infected Rain, when I first heard the Earth mantra representing on We Are Parasites, I've heard plenty of misanthropic lyrics before, but I think the serenading aspect of it made me intrigued. Lyrically, I think Infected Rain is sort of like a thinking individual's band. And I just want to know, how do you, because the evolution from Asylum to now is extraordinary, how do you keep diving back into it in a way? Is there like a usual well, or does it just happen?
No, okay, so first of all, I think we need to acknowledge the fact that moving to America definitely was a big impact on my vocabulary, on my way of thinking in a different language. I wrote in English before, but I feel like I was not able to say a lot. Like when your vocabulary is limited, even if you're trying to write about something deeper, eventually you will repeat yourself. In fact, I often notice that involuntarily, especially in the beginning of the few first two albums, involuntarily I would go to the same choice of words, even though I would write about a completely different thing, right? And so I would be like, oh my God, I don't want to repeat myself, but do I have enough knowledge? So reading books helps a lot. Obviously watching movies in English helps a lot. And living here in this country, in my case, helped a lot because when verbally you are not limited, you can speak and reflect and write, of course, on such deeper levels, and that helped me a lot. And I like writing very much, and I spent some time while recovering from a surgery. I spent some time studying a little bit poetry, a little more than just the knowledge from the school that I've had. Like just interesting little books here and there that I purchased just out of curiosity to see what else I can improve. And that is something that I do like doing with my skills, including my vocal skill, including any skill that I have out there that I like having. I do like improving. Yeah. So that helped a lot, I think. And again, one thing that never changed though is I always write based on my own life experience and my own fears and frustrations and everything really. And it just so happened that the past few years were pretty rough on me, so I had a lot to say, let's say that.
Mm-hmm. Well, but has there ever been a time though where like maybe external sources of inspiration, because I also saw different sides of yourself with Death Dealer Union last year. I thought that was a extraordinary, just when I thought I had a feel of what your voice was, I see this new collaborative effort, and having the formation of that band, I was able to see other sides of your voice outside of Infected Rain. So has there ever been a time where external sources of inspiration came into play?
I consider majority of the things that I mentioned here as external type of inspiration, like books, movies, situations that happen to us, people that are around us. Of course, I've spent extra time with my vocal teacher around the same time with this surgery that was a surgery that needed to happen when I was a child, and it was only making my physical state and my health decrease with years, and it's actually the reason of my heart problem, and is the main reason from my childhood. And then there were other reasons, but if I didn't have that reason in the first place, nothing else would have attacked my heart, let's say that, because unfortunately the vaccines that I was were mandatory at the time for me to fly and tour. They've made it just way worse when it comes to my heart, and it is pretty known that if you already had something, chances are higher. But I really did not think that anything would happen to me because I did 3 of them. But again, I don't want to sit here and preach what's good and what's bad. I had a choice to make. Either I do the vaccines and continue touring or get back on touring, or I stay longer home. And I was already for 2 years home. Yeah. So I obviously decided to go with it. Now, of course, no one will ever prove that on the paper that that's what happened, but that's exactly what happened. And that is a very important external factor that I think helped me improve, because my instrument is my own body. And if I don't feel very good for whatever reason, since I was a child, or new reason or whatever, it's going to impact how powerful I could sound, not on terms of volume, on terms of like holding your breath for as long as the phrase is extended, or going into specific keys and stuff like that. If you don't feel 100%, you are not going to sound 100%. And don't get me wrong, I don't think anybody feels 100% every day. Of course not. But I had something going on, and I think those factors together with the normal everyday life factor, or the result was this.
The results were definitely worth it. I just think because your lyrics are written in such a intellectual. Can you maybe see Infected Rain or Death Dealer Union or maybe other projects where maybe you could like do a concept album in a way where like kind of like how Mastodon had their concept albums or Fear Factory or My
That's
Chemical.
what we tried to do with Time. Time is our first conceptual album.
Really, because
Yes.
when I listened to Game of Blame in a way, that seemed to have its own things that stood out from Lighthouse in a way.
Okay.
But
Absolutely. I did not say the songs are the same.
yeah,
I said it has a conceptual theme, which means, at least in my opinion, here with this album, it means that besides the fact that each song can be its own individual, they have something in common. And what it is in common is, for example, with Game of Blame, let's think about it. This is the best song, actually, that you chose. How much time do we spend blaming each other for something? How much time?
too much, too much.
Too much in our personal romantic relationship, in our family relationship, in our friends group. Oh no, it was him. No, it was that. If it wasn't for that, we never look within. And that's the only time that would not be wasted, is when we look within. And if we really upset somebody or we really made a mistake, own it. Say whatever it is that you need to say to make sure the person knows you didn't do it on purpose, because often we do things without realizing that that could be interpreted negatively by our best friend or by a family member or by our lover. And if that really was not your intention, don't sit there and be like, oh, but if you didn't start this first, I would have never reacted. Why? That's not necessary. It's like literally in kindergarten. She started it.
The pettiness and child. You know what's funny is I was raised in a way where where if you acted this way, like I was taught, like if you act this way, you know that's wrong, blah blah blah. And then I see a bunch of people continuously do what I was criticized for as a child. And it's absurd in a way. How are we doing on time, by the way, before we continue? I don't want
We fine. You have solid 6 minutes.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Thank you for asking, though. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. There was one final question I wanted to ask, and we talked a little bit about it last year. But with the evolution, this year marks 10 years of Embrace Eternity. I remember on the Butcher Babies tour, I mentioned 10 years of Asylum. Dancing Alone I love that acoustic rendition. But when you look at Embrace Eternity and you compare that to now, do you almost look back I guess the best way to ask is when you revisit your older material, does it put you back in the state of mind of who you were in 2014? Or do you think that the art and your lyrics have developed new meaning over time?
No. I definitely often revisit older albums and older songs. I definitely think about it. I never dwell on it because I do know for sure that whatever our past is, whatever we created or achieved in the past, or didn't create or achieve, we cannot change it right now. So thinking or rethinking, I wish I didn't do this, or I wish I did a different way, it's another waste of time. So what I like, especially with Embrace Eternity, and thank you so much about bringing it up, because we were thinking for the 10-year anniversary to repeat what we did for the first album, Asylum, to finally offer that album on vinyl, remastered, maybe just printed, because we were independent at the time, and the first 3 albums only exist on CD. There was no specific artwork behind it that was printed on T-shirts or any other ways besides the actual album cover. So it is tattooed on me. Embrace Eternity is on my torso. As soon as it came out, I knew it was the first album that actually is showing how to say, like in 2013 I met my vocal teacher Melissa Cross, and in 2013 is when I started understanding better what is the safest and better way to learn vocals without hurting myself, and what were the mistakes I was doing in the past. And again, I was trying to learn from those mistakes. I was trying to learn from the that very first lesson, that very first meeting with Melissa Cross in 2013, and pretty much give or take, as soon as I came back from the US that year, that summer, we started working on the new album. So I could apply those first knowledges that I had. That first knowledge, that's more proper English. That first knowledge I acquired from Melissa, and I think it's very obvious how different my vocals are from the first album to the second. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can tell you, to be honest, about. And my answer would be pretty similar with every single album. Besides this one factor that I've met Melissa, and the same summer we were working on it. Because it takes months for a band to work on the album artwork and everything, and then releases. The release day, even if it was in 2014, the work started some months before. So sometimes autumn, I want to say 2013.
Yeah, no, I remember when it was all, or I don't remember per se, but I think like it came out. I can't remember when Embrace Eternity specifically saw the light of day, or at least when it came here in America. But I can tell you that when you look back, because Endorphin was the album I discovered Infected Rain on, but so when you look back at Asylum, Embrace, and 86, you see an evolution. There is an evolution, but there is also an underlying element that's always there, which I think is very impressive and very hard. Sometimes in order to evolve, you have to completely throw away everything you've done before, or if you could just stick with the same thing and not grow at all. But I think you've kind of avoided both of those pitfalls with Infected.
Oh, thank you. It's quite challenging, because obviously everybody has a mind of its own, and I also have a lot of bands that I listen to, and I often see how with a new album they were trying to go for something completely different, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun. Like, people should explore, you know what I'm saying? But fans don't always approach it that way. Fans often get very pissed off when bands try to go for something new or discover new abilities, or I don't know. It's interesting, but of course we have to remember that a lot of musicians, including Infected Rain, and when I say a lot, I don't mean all of them, but a lot of them create music for themselves in the first place, and they want to connect with it, they want to understand it, and they want to feel it for themselves in order to heal, move on, and just be proud of what you did. And same here. We make sure that those songs and that those albums resonate with us, and we like them in the first place way before we release it.
Yeah, of course. So I want to thank you so much for your time, for coming back on as usual, and for always a great conversation. Is there just anything else with Infected Rain, with the release of Time, that you would like to promote? Again, I think that this is the best Infected Rain album. You continue to surprise me every time. Just so what else we could be expecting from Infected Rain in the future?
Well, next week we start a really big European tour that will include some UK shows as well. And like I said, I was getting ready for my flight, which is this Sunday. And I would just like to invite everybody to give the band a try. If you have the opportunity to give it a try during a live show, even better, because that's really all it takes, is to give a try to a song, an album, a band, and then if you do, at least the chance was there. Because often, especially nowadays, we live in this everything is so fast and so simplified, and everything, we miss so much going on, and there's more ads everywhere we go than actual product. And I want to say thank you for your time and for giving us a chance.
Anytime. Thank you for your music, everybody. Infected Rain, Time, out now. Pick it up. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We will see you next time.
Thank you, Alex. See you next time.
Yep. As always, safe travels.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.